From HYPEBEAST Radio, I'm Jeff Staple, and this is The Business of Hype, a show about creative entrepreneurs, brand builders, innovators, and the realities behind the dreams they've built. I am really excited for this week's episode of The Business of Hype because we address one of the biggest questions I get from young designers and creatives, which is, how do I get my brand out there? How do I get customers? And while I can give you a sort of generic 90-second answer, it's just far too complicated to explain everything quickly and succinctly. But this week's guest has lived, breathed, sweated, and bled through the fashion industry, and specifically the sales and marketing side, with experience that runs decades long. So the insight that she will share will be amazing to hear firsthand. Secondly, what's really special about her is that she has now taken all that gained wisdom and created something entirely new to give back to her community. We're going to drop knowledge on fashion, retail, the ever-evolving shift from wholesale to direct-to-consumer models, and also work ethic, motivation, being prepared, and providing an opportunity for others. We live in a world where we make, and often forget that in that process, we also need to figure out ways to share and share that love. Any opportunity this week's guest was given, she took it and created something of more value out of it. And now she's ready to give back and pave a path for many others. Get ready for the one and only Sharifa Murdock.
My name is Sharifa Murdock, co-owner of Liberty Fair's trade show, Cabana and Capsule, and owner of Envision Festival.
Okay. So you co-own 3 things and
Yes.
you fully own one thing.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. Talk to me about first briefly elevator pitch, like what is Liberty, Capsule, Cabana? Those are 3 separate things.
3 separate companies, but all the same type of company. All of them are trade shows, fashion trade shows. Basically, it's B2B being business to business, trade show where retailers come to see brands and what they're bringing out for the season to come up in the fall.
Okay.
Yeah.
And traditionally, what's been the positive factors of having a trade show and people going to a trade show?
The positive factors of having a trade show is just finding new brands. And I think for retailers is discovery.
Yeah.
And just being able to meet so many amazing people.
Right. In a very short amount of time.
In a short amount of time. And in like a span of 3 days, you're like getting to see as many people as you need to see as a retailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So full editor's note disclosure.
Yeah.
I'm a trade show dog. Right?
You sure are.
Yeah. Like I've been going to trade shows for 22 years.
Okay.
Right. I mean, and they're always in Vegas.
Yes.
Right. In addition to other cities, but
Yeah.
Vegas seems
like
to be the hub. Yeah. How many times have you been to Vegas in your life? Have you ever counted?
I haven't counted, and I really should.
What would your guess be?
I think at least over 50 to 60.
No, I think it's triple digits.
No, it can't.
Because you go
be.
for vacation too, don't you?
I went a couple of times for vacation, but like.
Bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
I counted once, and
How many?
It was 80 at one point.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. But yeah, it's great, as you said, because in 72 hours, you can see so many people, connections, designers, brands, stores, everything.
Yeah.
That, it would take you much longer to even just email them.
I feel like Vegas is like the homecoming for fashion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's kind of like you see all the people you want to connect with and that you probably haven't seen in years.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the best part of it.
Yeah. So if you're a store and you're looking for brands, it's a great place.
100%.
If you're a brand looking to open retail,
it's a good place as well.
So,
yes.
okay.
Vice
So
versa.
for those who don't know, that's what a trade show is. I would say, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but predominantly, still to this day, 98% of fashion brands in the world still operate on that level.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, the only change and shift, and which we'll talk about later, is the direct-to-consumer.com shift where
Yes.
like they're just going straight to the consumer.
consumer, yeah.
And we'll talk about that shift later.
Yeah.
So now talk to me again, quick elevator pitch
Okay.
about your wholly owned operation.
Oh my God. Envision Fest is a women's conference.
Okay.
Basically, I was going to all these different festivals throughout the year. And I felt like I wasn't getting anything from it as a female. And it just empowered me to do something that I've been wanting to do for years. I've had a ton of young girls come up to me for mentorship. And I felt like there was so many amazing women that I've met along the way that I felt can give them the same sort of mentorship in a conference form.
Yeah.
So we started it last season. It was really successful. Over 2,500 people came, and I wanted to continue it. So it's a festival where it's based on music, beauty, and wellness, and conversation, and education.
And you've done one now.
I've done one. I'm doing the second one September 14th and 15th.
Okay, cool. And you want to do it once a year?
I want to do it once a year.
And where does it take place?
In Brooklyn and Industry City. Brooklyn
Okay.
is where I was from, so I had to start it there.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you're giving back.
I'm giving back.
All right, so before we get too far into how you were able to like acquire all of these things and do all of these businesses, let's go back to like the beginning. Obviously, the one theme, the one running thread throughout all of these is maybe fashion, right?
Yes.
Is the one running thread.
Yeah.
Have you all your life been like super into fashion?
Oh my God, since I was a kid, I
Okay.
used to, it's so funny, my family would still make fun of me up to this day. I used to get fully dressed and had nowhere to go. I just get fully
How old?
dressed
How old are we
at
talking?
like 8.
Okay.
I get up in the morning,
Right.
take a shower, and get fully dressed and just sit there and
Sit
wait
at home.
for someone. Yes, and wait for someone to tell me we're going somewhere.
Right.
And
What is that quote? All dressed up with
all
nowhere to
dressed
go.
up with no, that was me at 8 years old.
Right.
My dad used to like laugh at me. They'll be like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm waiting. I'm waiting
For
to
the invite.
I'm waiting for the invite to go somewhere." And I always loved dressing up. And as I got older, it was just heightened. Like, of course, when you become a teenager, you start getting into labels.
Yeah.
And at the time, Guess was like a big deal.
Guess jeans.
Yes, Guess jeans was my favorite thing in this planet. Like,
Guess was luxury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Guess was luxury, and I will fall out in malls and embarrass my father if he didn't get me what I wanted. Like, I was that girl.
What was like a pair of Guess jeans back in the day?
Probably $68.
Okay.
I remember that because I used to wear Guess jeans and 5411 Reeboks. That was my thing.
Right.
So
And do you know why 5411 Reeboks are called 5411?
that's what I don't know, to be
Because the price was like $49.99
Yeah.
and plus
With
tax,
tax, it was $54.11. Yes,
It was
yes.
like the most
Okay.
hood reason to call the shoes. Like they cost $54.11.
I was that girl.
Okay, so you remember $68, but like your dad wouldn't get you the Guess jeans.
He would get them for me, but I would want more. There was always something else that I needed. I'm that girl that always wants more. Up to today, I'm
Yeah.
a grown-ass adult, and I'm always like, they're like, "Oh my God, you're doing so great," and I'm like, "No, I still have to
More.
achieve
Yeah,
more."
yeah.
So
There's another pair of Sakai's you got to get.
there's another pair of Sakai's out there that I got to get. There's all kinds of things that I need.
She's rocking the Sakai's right now. So. In like the very hard to get petite size too.
Yes, yes.
All right, so you're obviously into fashion young,
Yeah.
right? And do you remember the first time you were like, I'm going to be working in fashion somehow, some
Oh my
way?
God, of course. Like I started out, I'm going to tell you the entire story because I
Okay.
always feel like you have to start from the real beginning. When I was 11, I had a paper route.
Okay.
And those
Not
things are real.
fashionable.
Not fashionable. And then I made my way over to a grocery store called Key Food that was in the neighborhood.
Key Food, for those who don't know,
Yes.
is not. It's not your Walmart. Oh no, it's like
No, it's the hood grocery
it's like
store.
rat poo in the meat
Yes,
department.
yes.
Fully, right?
Fully.
Yeah.
No, that was me. And then I made my way to McDonald's.
Okay.
And I worked at McDonald's for like 3 to 4 years. It was
Yeah.
the craziest thing. growing
Many,
up.
many great people have started out at McDonald's.
Yeah.
What did you
And
do? That's like
I was a manager
Cashier.
at one point.
Really?
I worked my way up
Oh,
in
wow, okay.
McDonald's. Like I was serious about this.
Yeah.
I was always devoted to working. Like
what is the thing about McDonald's that produces like great people?
I just think that they make you work really hard and you have to figure things out.
Yeah.
You have to learn each and every aspect. So I knew how to cook the food. I knew how to do the cashier. I knew how to do the drive-through. I went through the whole regiment of
Amazing.
McDonald's.
It's like a military.
At one point,
Right.
I was like, you know how sometimes they're like gassing you, like, you can franchise and you can. I was really thinking about, well, maybe I can do this for a living. And then I was like, too much French fries.
Right.
So,
Okay, so
and
Mickey
after
D's and
Mickey
then-
D's, there was a store in Manhattan called Atrium.
Yes.
And Atrium was probably, I remember growing up, that was before anything had ever opened. And I went in and I applied and I got the job.
Describe Atrium for young people who don't realize what it was.
So Atrium was actually one of the first stores that did shop within shops. So when you walked in the store, there had like a shop, a Ralph Lauren store in the back. They had a Donna Karan DKNY store in the back. They sold all of the hype clothes at the time, Iceberg, Techno Marines, like all of those things were like a thing back then.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You know, and these things come back, which is so funny.
Yeah. And it was also beautifully curated.
Oh,
it was
amazing.
Like the architecture of the space was amazing.
It's actually an old bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an old bank. So downstairs they have the bank vault. It's incredible. Wow. And they also had every jean company at that time that was out and that was coming out. And it was like the number one thing. Like Frankie B's was a big deal back then. So
what year was this when you got that job?
1980 something, 1998 or something like that. It was crazy. So,
all right.
Yeah.
And then Atrium now is, just geographically speaking, was on Broadway and Bleecker.
Yep, right on the corner.
Right, which then housed
Kith.
Yeah, and we'll get to a little bit of a side story there.
Course.
But so you were a shopper of Atrium?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I walked in and asked for a job because I needed to pay for the things that I were buying.
Did you quit McDonald's?
Yes, I quit McDonald's.
Okay, you quit McDonald's and you walk in and you're just like, I'd like a job.
I need a job as a salesperson.
And what'd they say?
They were like, okay, let's interview.
Right
That's
there?
how my life has always been. Yes. It's like, I need a job. Okay, do you have time to interview? Yeah. Okay, no problem. That's how my life has been with every job that I've had. Yeah.
All right.
It's the most interesting thing.
Is that luck or is that charisma?
I think it's both.
Okay.
I think it's both.
All right.
I think that I just I was very excited and young and enthusiastic, and I went in with this energy that I was really positive about myself, which I probably didn't even know what I was doing, but
the energy is important.
Energy is very important. People peep that a mile away.
I actually remember now as a young kid, like walking into stores like Foot Locker and Athlete's Foot and like asking for the application form. And I remember my energy was all off.
Really?
I'd be like, do you have an application form?
Yeah.
Like all like mealy and shit.
Oh, no.
You know?
I was going in like, can I get a job? Like, listen, I need to afford these things that I want.
Yeah.
And my dad growing up
and
get the discount. My dad was like instilled in me, like, if you ever want something, that's how I started working. Because I always wanted to ask for things. And he was like, if you want something, you have to work for it. So like, I would be like, I want 10 items, 15 items from one store. And he'll be looking at me like, are you crazy? And he'll be like, okay, well, you need to do this. And you need to do this in the house.
He would give you like a task list.
He would give me a task list in order for me to get each item that I wanted. And that's how I started to develop the form of working for what I wanted.
Word.
Yeah,
That's
at
dope.
a young age.
Okay. So you get the Atrium job?
I get the Atrium job, and I am like the top seller in Atrium.
Right away?
Right away.
Okay. Had you had the opportunity to meet the owner yet?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
All right.
And then finally, it was interesting because it was 3 owners. It was 3 brothers, actually.
Okay.
And it was like, retail back in the day was fun. I would get dressed up. The whole staff would get dressed up on a Saturday, and it was like, you're dressed to the nines because this is when you're going to sell the most clothes ever.
Yeah.
And we used to kind of compete with each other to know like who's going to sell. It was fun.
It's
back
not like
then.
that today?
Oh, hell no. I go in retail stores and no, I think that I go in retail shops today, and I think the problem is that the employees think that they're better than the consumer.
Yes.
And they don't want to help you. So back then, I was like running around trying to help people, get them. If this didn't fit, I'm referring other things. I'm making the sale by any means necessary.
Yeah.
Today, it's like, oh, it doesn't fit. All right, well, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't have anything for you. And it's
weird.
kind of depressing. And I think
Customer service is a lost art.
Customer service is a lost art, and I really wish it comes back.
Yeah.
I really do.
Okay, so you were hustling and grinding.
I was a hustler back then. Yes.
All right, and then, I mean, I don't know if you have other Atrium war stories, but like,
oh, I have so many. Atrium was one of the hottest stores.
Everyone
shopped there. I mean, like, I've met some incredible people. Jay, Big. I've met Busta. Like, all the people that you would think of, they shopped in Atrium.
That's so sick.
It was amazing.
What year does this span? You said
this is like 19. I'm gonna date myself. Probably 1998 on to 2000. I stayed there for like 3 years or so, and then I had the joke upon everything in Atrium is that anyone that worked in Atrium once, they worked there twice. So I remember them not being able to give me a day off from work because I had to go to a wedding, and I was like, if I can't get this day off, I gotta go. And they couldn't give me the day off, and I had left.
So you quit.
I quit. And ended up, when I went to school in Rhode Island, I ended up getting a job at Donna Karan.
Okay.
And then I ended up coming back to New York and working at Louis Vuitton. Same thing. Walked in Louis Vuitton one day, just random. Hey, are you guys hiring? Yeah, can you interview right now? I was in the middle of school. And I was like on a break, like a lunch break, walking around Fifth Avenue. And they were like, can you interview? I was like, yep. Missed the class and everything. They were like, okay, you're hired. And I got the job right away.
The Fifth Avenue flagship.
Well, it's funny because it used to be on 55th and 5th. The smaller, before they even built that flagship store, there was a smaller Louis Vuitton store on 55th and 5th, right inside the St. Regis Hotel.
Okay.
And I worked there, and I was a salesperson. And then I started building up their customer service department. So then they gave me like a little space, and that's all I did. I did customer service for Louis Vuitton. I built their whole entire repair department.
Okay, that's amazing.
And then I remember they were building that big flagship store, and they were showing me my office, and Sam, who owned Atrium at the time, called, and he was like, listen, everyone's coming back to Atrium. And I'm like, I've been sitting in an office at Louis Vuitton.
I'm chilling.
Getting bags for cheap. I'm trying to live here forever. And he was just like, everyone's coming back. And something in his voice just kind of like clicked in my mind. I don't know what it was. And he was like, I want you to come back.
Had you met Sam before?
Yeah,
like, interacted?
I met Sam once. I was working there for a long time. Yeah, I met him a couple of times. Okay. He knew my work from working in Atrium.
And because you were one of the top salespeople, so like he knew. He knew he had to have you back.
Yeah.
Okay, so so it's Atrium, then Donna Karan, then LV.
Yeah,
and then Sam from Atrium
calls me back and
calls you.
He's like, I'll figure out something for you to do. And I was like, okay. So I come back to Atrium.
Was the offer so good that
there was no offer that was so good. I just honestly remembered Sam, and I felt something, and I remember him being just so nice and kind. And I was like, you know what? Let me take a chance on this.
And you weren't upset at LV.
I wasn't upset at LV. I could have sat at LV and continued to buy purses and just be that girl, or I could make a decision and take a leap. And I decided to leap.
Wow, that internal instinct of like just because that was a phone call too, so it was like just hearing something across the phone line. No, I trusted. I remember trusting Sam. That's what it was. It was like, and I always say this until today, I would never be the woman I am in business if it wasn't for him. Okay. Because he basically steered, once he made that phone call, he steered my direction in life. You know? What is Sam's last name?
Ben-Avraham.
Just so kids can Google.
Yeah, Sam
But
Ben-Avraham.
You won't find much on him.
You would never find much on him, but what you do find is he's an amazing individual. Yeah. And I think that everyone in the industry shows him tons of respect because they know what he has done and what he continuously does till today.
Man, Atrium, Donna Karan, Louis Vuitton, and then back to Atrium, but by the direct request of the owner, Sam Ben-Avraham. It seems like Sharifa has the craziest luck, right? Or she's like always in the right place at the right time. I mean, come on. Who walks into these places asking for an interview and then gets it right then and there? That's amazing. Or is it? I mean, most people I know, they wouldn't even have asked. Hell, I know sometimes I've been in a position where I was shook to ask. So it's important to notice that these opportunities are not falling into Sharifa's lap. She is out there grabbing them, which is how winners win. But there's actually even more to it than that. There's the confidence Sharifa has to approach these places, the professionalism and charisma to connect with people in real life, and the instincts and knowledge of seeing a great opportunity and knowing what to do when put into that position. It would be damn near disrespectful to chalk it up to luck. Whatever the role or position, like any other great person, she was always prepared for when that opportunity came. Now, you ready for some black belt level advice? Because even after all that, after you've landed the job, it's not enough to just get your foot into the door. Once Sharifa got in, she wasn't going to sit there. She created more for herself once she got there. Whether it was becoming the top salesperson or building out an entire department, or knowing when it was time to jump ship, even when that ship had a sick epi leather monogram pattern on the side of it. If there's anything that's tried and true in this industry, it's that work ethic will always pay off. It may be a slow burn compared to others. Some may have that white hot fire that gets quick notice and pushed up to the next level. But what will always make a long-lasting impact is how hard you work. that person who rises fast can just as easily come tumbling down quickly. The knowledge you gain from the process, that process is the foundation for everything you build in the future. No process, no foundation. No foundation, no future. This is just one man's personal opinion. Without a doubt, Sharifa has all of this, which is why she is clearly such a boss. Okay, so you're back at Atrium now. How is it round two?
Round two, I was a store manager for a little bit. And then Sam comes to me and he says, listen, I want to do this thing. And I'm like, what? He's like, it's called Project. I'm like, what's Project? And I'm 23 at the time, so I have no idea what he's talking about. I went to school for fashion. I have an associate's degree. That's it.
Had you been to a trade show?
I've never been to a trade show. Okay. That was the joke. And he was like, he gave me a list. And I remember saying, these people are never going to listen to me. He was like, call these people and tell them. Yeah, brands. At the time, he just said, call my friends. Call these people and tell them I want them to do my show. And I'm like, they're not going to listen to me.
Yeah.
He's like, don't worry. And I started calling people. And I just like... The thing about Sam is he's not a micromanager. He just pushes you in the direction. And you basically are teaching yourself
you gotta
what
figure
to do.
It out, yeah.
But what's so amazing about him is if you messed up, you fucked up. That was it. It wasn't like a big deal. You know?
Right.
You messed up, he's like, all right, let's figure out how we're going to make it better.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I was trained.
Right, that's dope.
You know? And I think even up to today, that's how I train my staff, which is interesting. It's kind of like... I'm not a micromanager.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and babysit you. If you know what you want to do with your life, do it. If not, it's okay.
Yeah.
We just part ways and we'll always be friends.
Right.
And that's how I learned.
You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. One of my favorite quotes. Everyone has different working styles, but a common thread I hear with many guests on the Business of Hype is that success can be directly attributed to giving people the freedom to explore, learn, and shape their own perspective on their own terms. Yes, there's guidance and structure put in place, but allowing someone to figure out things for themselves allows them to realize things fully, instead of being just a cog in the machine. Now, if you're the one assigned to do the job, it's important to figure out how to best do that task and process it as needed. Actually do it. Don't just watch, memorize, and mimic, but absorb, assess, and master. This not only gets the work done, but it empowers you to own that skill for the rest of your life and apply your own style to it, to improve upon it. Now, if you're a manager listening to this applies to you as well, but on the flip side. If you treat people like children, you will have an army of kids to look after. And if the people that report up to you fail and cannot progress as both coworkers and human beings, well, guess what? It's not a reflection on them. It's a reflection on you. So Project is a trade show, but trade shows, like, what was the prevailing trade show at the time? Who was the competition?
God. So back then there was a trade show called, there was two. There was always E&K, which was like a huge women's trade show. And she had like, she had started a men's trade show, which was a smaller component. And then there was To Be Confirmed.
Yeah.
There was a show called To Be Confirmed.
I showed it To Be Confirmed.
Did you?
I did.
And I remember they had something happen and they were on the boat. And the boat, like, whatever show, they were at the water on the piers. And it, like, started to leak. And Sam used to go to these trade shows all the time because he was the buyer for Atrium.
Yeah.
And he just felt like it wasn't a comfortable atmosphere to shop as a buyer. And that's how he came up with the concept of, like, look, I can do this myself.
All right. So where was the first project?
Oh, the first project, I remember it like yesterday. It was in the Puck Building. For all you guys who don't know the Puck Building, it's on Lafayette. And
it's where REI is now.
It's where REI is.
Yeah.
And we used the main floor and the penthouse.
So I guess it's exactly where REI
is now.
It's
the exact building.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was interesting because...
Oh, so you used the ground floor and then
the penthouse.
Nothing in between.
Nothing in between. Everything that could have went wrong that time. And I was like telling you, like, I was driving like big trucks. I didn't have no idea what I was doing. I know hopefully the Lord doesn't catch up with me today. I was like literally driving one of those tractor trailer trucks and like I sideswiped a whole bunch of cars going down and I was like so nervous about it because I was like, what am I to do? They're like, go, just drive. Because we were
Hopefully
bringing
there's a
in trucks.
statute of limitation on hit and run. of like,
Well, I didn't hit anyone. I just hit the cars.
Okay.
And then I remember the elevator not working. So
The day of?
Yes. So we're bringing up the rolling racks, and rolling racks are like, let's just say 6 feet long, and they have and in the Puck building the stairs are wind up stairs. So we're bringing up rack by rack,
Circular stairs.
Yeah, twisting it back and forth. It was like. It was hilarious, but it became very successful.
Yeah.
And it was something that was amazing.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. So how did project number 1 go?
Project number 1 was a great success. Okay. I honestly, it's so funny because I didn't know what I was doing. So 23-year-old girl just putting together a show and just being happy to be a part of this was a big deal for me.
Yeah.
So by the time we got to project number 3 or 4, it was like a big deal. And I didn't realize it was a big deal. I'm just like happy to be there and happy to be working on something that's so creative and so innovative that you're just having fun with it and you're not realizing that you're working.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
What characteristics and personality traits does it require to run a good trade show?
Oh my God. You have to be a chameleon. You have to be a person that has patience.
Yeah.
And that is able to deal with situations very calmly because everything, you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes, right?
Because it's a customer service business, right?
This is a big customer service business, and people are spending a lot of money to be there, and you have to be empathetic to everyone's situation.
Yeah.
You have to be just humble and happy and graceful for them to be there and be a part of it, right? Because we are doing them a service, but they're also doing us a service.
Yeah.
And you always have to remember that.
But people have to realize that like you might have 50, 70, 100 brands that all think
that
they're the most important
everyone
brand.
And you have to make sure everyone feels like they are just as important as the next guy.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. So there's ego massaging is a big one. But then there's going to be like some outside shit hitting the fan. Like
all the
AC
time.
not work or whatever. Like
we always had those problems. Those problems still exist.
Yeah.
It's like, why don't these buildings just get fixed?
It's crazy with trade shows. It's like seriously like 3 days of Murphy's Law.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's like a 3-day
You just never know
example of,
what's
like-
going to happen. And I always say it's never a trade show with me and Sam unless in the winter it's a huge snowstorm or in the summer it's one of the hottest days of summer.
Yeah.
We always get hit with those two things. It's just what it is.
Right.
And we've accepted it at this point.
So talk about now how you shifted to Vegas.
So
long did that take?
with Project, I think it took like not that long. It took us probably 4 shows. And at the time there was magic happening out there and a lot of people were kind of fed up with like the big mass trade shows.
Yeah.
And we came in as kind of like a small boutique show. Which was a cooler show.
Yeah.
And it was just because we had the customer service. When you become too big, unfortunately, you do lose some of your cool and you do lose some of your customer service. Whereas that was something that we thrived on. Like, I was adamant down to the toilet paper in the bathroom. Like, I'm like, do we have enough lotion? Do we have? I wanted to make it more elevated.
Yeah.
And that was something that me and Sam always like talked about was like, what would you want if you walked into here? How comfortable do you want to feel? How do you make people want to stay on the floor longer?
Yeah.
You know, and it's just about those little things, and it's nothing major. It's
Right.
just about really
Thought.
paying
It's just
attention
thoughtful.
and putting thought into what would make people happy.
Right.
Yeah.
But is doing a project out in Vegas much harder than doing one in New York?
Oh, 100%.
Why?
Well, because you have drayage. It's like drayage.
Explain drayage.
Drayage is this thing that people pay for, and it just becomes expensive because they're weighing everything as
It's
it
the cost
comes
to
in.
bring stuff
It's the
in.
cost to bring things in. So I remember being at Project and someone did a booth build out of books. Books.
Heavy ass book.
Heavy ass books. So when they got the drayage bill, it's like $1 trillion, and they're like, what? You know?
yeah.
And also just like the simplest thing is corkage. Corkage is the bottle of water.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted a sponsor to come into Vegas, I can't just bring the sponsor to Vegas. I have to now pay corkage fees for that bottle of water, and it's on an individual bottle of water. So a bottle of water goes from being $1 to probably about $5.
Oh, that's
or
why.
$6.
That's why a bottle of water in Vegas is like $7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so most of the issues stem from politics that the casinos have made.
Casinos,
made up.
100%. That's why it's always great. When we started in New York, we were using these buildings that didn't have those rules, because those rules are like, we can bring in whatever we want. We can create a beautiful space. We can, think of all the things that you can do in these smaller spaces where
Right.
you don't have to deal with that. Also, just weighing down the clients with those type of fees is not useful either.
Right.
Yeah.
Can you do that in Vegas? Like just do
No.
it in the.
We still have the problem, because even last season we did our show downtown.
Yeah.
And you still have some of those problems.
Right.
You still have
It's
to
natural.
It's natural.
Because they see if the casinos are doing it, we can charge.
Yeah. 100%.
Right. So so that's Project, and Project, for those who don't know, did become like
One of the
a
biggest-
staple in the business.
A staple business.
Yep.
It still continues to be that.
Yep.
I stayed there for 10 years, actually.
Yeah. So it got bought.
It got bought. Yeah.
They bought Sam out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Sam sold it.
Sam sold it.
Yeah.
And I felt the need to stay on because I originally brought in all those brands. We started at 67 brands. And by the time we sold it was over 1,000.
Okay.
And I was at the forefront of bringing in all of those brands. And I felt it was my duty. I didn't want to just to desert and just
Right.
jump ship.
How many years did that take from founding it to selling it?
Probably 3 years. It was like quick.
Holy cow.
It was the quickest thing. I'm going to say 3 to 4 years, let's
Okay.
just say. And then Sam stayed on for like another year or two.
Were
And
you
then-
a co-owner at the time
At
that
the
it sold?
time, no.
Okay.
I was just an employee.
Okay.
So I stayed on.
stayed on.
And it just became very
Did Sam do
corporate.
well?
Sam did very well. We did very well. Yes. I
Like how
stayed on
well?
Very well. Those
Like
numbers-
house well?
Yes.
Home well? Like
well.
real estate acreage well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not like BMW well.
No, he did well. Sam, I always say he wins lotto all the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Sam. He's amazing.
Right.
But I stayed on for 10 years, and it just became very corporate.
Yeah.
And I went from and that's when I realized it was like, listen, entrepreneurial and corporate. That's how I
Yeah, you're an
figured it
entrepreneur,
out.
yeah.
I was brought up to be an entrepreneur. So now putting this girl into a corporate structure
Yeah.
was kind of like, It just didn't work for me.
How long did you last?
Only 2 years.
Okay.
And I lasted by the skin of my teeth.
Like every day was painful?
Every day was painful. And it's sad because I remember being so happy when Friday came because I knew I had the weekend. By Saturday night, I was crying because I didn't want to go back to work on Monday. That's how painful. No,
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I got to that point in time, and I just remember.
But you know what you're describing? That's like most people. Most
Really?
people do.
Well-
like they fucking like skid into Friday.
Yeah.
Hit happy hour hard.
Yeah, but that's not a way to live.
But you weren't living like that previously.
No,
You were like loving
I was
what you
loving
were doing.
what I was doing
Right.
because I was able to be creative and free.
Yeah.
And what happened was I felt like I was heard. And that's one thing that I always said. And with
You
Sam,
were heard with Sam.
With Sam,
but
it
at
was like
the new,
at the new company, it was like they didn't want me to be heard. They wanted to silence me. I had way too much power at that point for them.
what do you mean way too much power? You
Because
had
I
the experience.
I
When they
had
bought
the
the brand.
experience,
Yeah.
but
you-
I had the relationships as well with the brands.
that's
And-
why they hired you.
But they didn't want that. They didn't want me to be the only one having that. And
Right.
that's where we had a problem. So they brought in people.
Less
that-
experienced, less knowledgeable.
less knowledgeable, but also then told me to train those people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember feeling so down. Like that was probably the lowest part of life in business for me. Because I remember just being like so hurt,
Yeah.
by what was happening in the terms of like me working so hard to be where I was at, and
Yeah.
someone like putting a halt on that and saying, no, you can't do it this way. I want you to have her do it. But then you also then have to train this person to do it. And I'm like, no. So then I became that disgruntled for them. They felt like I was being disgruntled.
Right.
And I felt like I was being real.
Mistreated, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
So by the time we got to the 10th year, I had enough. And I was like, I quit.
Okay.
And then
did you quit with a new job in hand yet?
well, no, because I had a non-compete.
Okay.
So when
So
you know
you
when
couldn't-
you buy a business, when
Yeah.
you sell a business, sorry, we all sign non-competes, and you can't work within the industry for the year.
Meaning
Sam
trade
signed
show or fashion?
fashion, which was like no job at all.
You
for
can't
me.
work at the Gap.
You can't work. So I had signed a non-compete, and I remember being like, I've had enough.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, I was just talking to Sam, and Sam's like, listen, if it's not working for you, just let it go.
Yeah.
And I was like, I have all these responsibilities. And he was like, don't even worry. That's not going to be a problem. So I went to them and I was like, I'm done. I was getting married as well at the time. And I was just like, I can take a break off. And then at that time for them, everyone else was quitting. And I was the one with the knowledge and the information.
Yeah.
So they was like, you can't leave. And unfortunately, this guy who they did hire, he was super sweet. And I felt like bad, but I was just like, he was like, stay for 3 more months, at least until the show. And then let's see, just try to see if it works out. And I was like, okay, I'll stay. But the deal was that I had to get rid of my non-compete.
Okay.
And they let me go out of my non-compete.
If you stayed extra.
If I stayed extra, and I stayed, and then
You stayed the 3 months. Did you have like an alarm set on that?
I was
on the
like,
day,
yeah.
Ding, okay, I'm done.
I gotta go. It was just too much for me.
Yeah.
I think after that, I remember feeling like I would never allow anyone in life to make me feel the way I felt that time. And that's just how I've always kept my life going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. One of my favorite quotes. Everyone has different working styles, but a common thread I hear with many guests on the Business of Hype is that success can be directly attributed to giving people the freedom to explore, learn, and shape their own perspective on their own terms. Yes, there's guidance and structure put in place, but allowing someone to figure out things for themselves allows them to realize things fully, instead of being just a cog in the machine. Now, if you're the one assigned to do the job, it's important to figure out how to best do that task and process it as needed. Actually do it. Don't just watch, memorize, and mimic, but absorb, assess, and master. This not only gets the work done, but it empowers you to own that skill for the rest of your life and apply your own style to it, to improve upon it. Now, if you're a manager listening to this applies to you as well, but on the flip side. If you treat people like children, you will have an army of kids to look after. And if the people that report up to you fail and cannot progress as both coworkers and human beings, well, guess what? It's not a reflection on them. It's a reflection on you.
Okay, so you quit. You're now a free agent.
I'm now a free agent, and here
What's
comes
next?
the heavens open again.
Yeah.
My guardian angel, Sam, comes down, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? And basically, he's just like, listen, I want to do this again. And
Right.
I was like, not another trade show.
He wanted to do another trade
He wanted to
show.
do another trade show. He just was like, I see the market is open again. And I was like, okay. And he was like, but we should need to partner on it. And I remember thinking to myself, once again, I heard that voice from when I was in Louis Vuitton.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, you can either be working for someone for the rest of your life, or you could be a partner with someone that you highly respect,
Right.
and that has become a mentor to you, and do business that way.
Yeah,
and
and have equity, skin
and
in the
have
game,
equity
yeah.
and skin in the game, and just be able to own something.
Right.
And I thought that was phenomenal, and I agreed.
And what was that?
Now it's called Liberty.
Okay.
And Enter is Liberty.
Yeah.
So Liberty, we started Liberty in 2013.
Mm-hmm.
So just understand this, everything is in threes. So Sam opened Atrium in 1993, if I'm
Okay.
not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
We started Project in 2003, and then we started Liberty in 2013.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's your magic number.
that's the number.
You're not born in March, are you?
No, I'm not. February.
Okay, close.
So we started Liberty in 2013, and it was a really great success. It was the time. It was a void missing in the market because I think people got so comfortable with the shift of just buying the same old brands that
Yeah.
they've been buying. We had the downfall of 2008 where everybody was just like very stagnant.
Yep.
So by the time 2013 came, it was the time to look for new things, new brands, experience new things.
Yeah.
So it was really, really great time.
Right.
To
And
start.
his timing is impeccable.
His timing is like genius.
Yeah.
Okay? He's the gods.
Can you talk, let's just digress a little bit
Yeah.
on what else Sam does that's amazing.
Oh my God. Sam is a visionary.
Yeah.
Sam is a man that there's only probably one or two of him in the world to me. I think that he is a leader within everything that he does, and he does it with passion, and he thinks things out. Every time I think I have this man figured out, he comes with something new.
Yeah.
So Sam has been involved in numerous businesses.
Right.
it's just something that I think, we will all see
Yeah.
in the future.
I don't think it's a secret that he's like a partner in Kith, right?
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's fine. Open.
Do you remember when because you were already working with him, you were
Yeah.
probably a partner at the time.
I was, no, actually, I was at Project when he started with Kith.
Okay.
So I would always come in and I'll see all this new stuff and he'll be like, oh, do you know Ronnie or whatever? And we'll talk and he'll tell me what's going on. And I think it was genius.
Did you see it back then?
I saw it back then. You have to understand where we worked in Atrium in the basement. So for me, Project started in the basement. Kith started in that basement.
Yep.
And just to see these things expand into
Yeah.
where they're at today.
You saw it coming?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's phenomenal.
Because if for the kids remember, Kith used to be just half of Atrium.
Yeah, it was, first of all, it
back-
started only as the little portion of
Yep.
Atrium, and then it grew into half the store of Atrium. And then it ended up taking up the entire Atrium.
Right.
And now it has its own 3-floor location on Lafayette.
Right.
So shout out to Ronnie and
Yeah.
Sam for that one.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And Sam is, it's just from Atrium to that, I guess.
He's been involved in so many things. I know, what was the other? There's different things that
Has
he's
he ever
been
gone on the
involved in.
brand side?
Yes, actually, he did. He was doing a brand at one point called Improved, which was super good. I think that one was about timing. He had
Yeah.
a store in the meatpacking district, and I think it's a brand before its time.
Okay.
It's what everyone basically is trying to do now, which is so crazy.
Yeah.
But he is a visionary. He
Yeah.
sees things long before they happen, and he also just believes in it.
Yeah.
I go to Sam with the most random shit sometimes, and he's like, that's a great idea. Let's talk this out.
Right.
Like,
Okay. You mentioned that you are a co-owner in 2 other shows.
Yes. So
What are the other 2?
when we started Liberty, Sam also had partnered with one of the buyers at Atrium at the time called Janet. Her name is Janet Wong. She's amazing. She's an amazing buyer. She's also a visionary within the fashion space with women's. And started a swimwear store, like a resort trade show called Cabana.
Okay.
And
This was her idea or
this was
Sam's
her
idea?
idea.
So it was her idea that she pitched to
She
Sam.
pitched to Sam,
Okay.
and she basically started this trade show, and it was something of one of its kind.
Mm-hmm.
Because you always had the normal swimwear resort shows in Miami, but her concept was more thought out. It was like, let's build these beautiful white tents on the beach.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't in a big space like it would be normally. It was just really authentic, and it was simple. It was like, let's add little details, like palm trees, and let's make it look beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's make it be like a woman's store where you want to walk in and shop. Had little coconuts, just like little things that
Right.
made it special. And she created that with him. And we ended up absorbing it under the Liberty umbrella.
Because Liberty was like the biggest
Because
one.
Liberty was the biggest one.
Okay.
And then we ended up purchasing Capsule from the Reed guys over at Reed, who owned at the time Agenda and Capsule, because we wanted more women's. We wanted to go step into the women's market, and Capsule was a really great opportunity for us to do that.
Okay.
So we stepped into the women's contemporary market with Capsule, and then we had Cabana, and now we're also Liberty.
So we mutually know Deirdre,
Yes,
who was
we
the
do.
founder of
Founder of
Capsule.
Capsule.
So she wasn't involved in that. She sold it to Reed already.
She had sold it to Reed, and
Okay.
then we bought it from Reed.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And then so you rolled up the 3 shows into sort of one entity.
One entity, yes.
That you became co-owner of all of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that good for you financially?
It's good for me long term financially. Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
It's just fun also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have enough on your plate, why did you want to start like another one now?
Well,
Or it's not the same,
No,
but
it's
it's
not
different.
the same. It's different.
But it's another project.
I wanted to start this next project because this was near and dear to my heart. Being able to, I was once given an opportunity by Sam, and I always vowed to myself, growing up in Brooklyn, being that brown girl from Brooklyn, that was a rarity. Right? Someone
the
gave
industry,
in
you
this
mean.
industry.
Right.
Someone gave me an opportunity, and I didn't even think twice that it could be so hard for the next brown girl.
Yeah.
And then as I was growing up, I saw what it did to me at Project, and I remember saying, I want to help every other young brown girl come into the space and not feel as uncomfortable as these people made me.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to develop more entrepreneurial young girls.
Right.
And I went to Sam, and I was like, listen, there's this thing called, I want to do a festival. And it was more dedicated towards educating young girls on how to become the woman that they want to become, basically.
More so than selling.
More so than selling. It was important for me to be able to give back and be able to develop these women into being entrepreneurs.
Yeah, you.
Me, basically.
into developing
And
you.
not having to depend on a company to hire them.
Right.
And grooming them into being responsible women. So I was going to festivals all year in probably 2017, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And I got what they were giving, and I get it. And no disrespect to what they were doing. I just felt, as for me, what I would have wanted to see wasn't being portrayed. So I went to Sam, and I was like, I did this whole entire deck, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And he was like, you think this will work? And I was like, I honestly believe in this. And this is going to be, like, for me, this is where my heart is.
Okay.
Right? And he was like, okay. That's the most amazing thing about him.
Yeah.
Is I came to him with something, and he looked at me, and then, we went back and forth. He had a couple questions, and I was like, listen, this is what's missing. And I feel like there's a trillion young girls out there that need this.
Yeah.
I have girls hitting me up every day for mentorship and help and just understanding where their next step is.
Yeah.
And I try to take tea, coffee, lunch, breakfast, but I'm one individual.
Yeah.
Why not find other women that I respect and I think that are doing great things just as much as I am to help in the interim?
Right.
So it was built upon that. I then called my girlfriend, Laura Stiles, Hot 97.
Yeah.
And I was just like, listen, I grew up watching her grind. We both grew up watching. I've known Laura since I was working at Louis Vuitton.
Okay.
And I seen how she interned. I seen how she came to the top of being what she is today. And we always said we wanted to work together. And I was like, look, I want to do this thing, but I definitely think we need a music component. And she was like, I'm in.
Okay.
She was like, let's go. And so she did all the music components of Envision. So Envision is basically a 2-day festival conference where you're getting the education from panel discussions happening within finance, within sex, within beauty, within wellness, within anything that a young girl is going through.
Right.
And then we also have like a beauty floor, a wellness floor, a fashion floor, where you can do like activations. So it can have like silent yoga, you can have meditation, you can have a braid bar, you can get your nails done, you can sell stuff, you can do your customization, from that to a conversation and then to music. So we had our first festival last year, as mentioned before. We had like Tinashe perform, we had Sweetie perform, Queen Naija, Malibu Mitch, all these girls that these young girls listen to.
Yeah.
And then popped up, Lauryn Hill came by, which was like an amazing thing for me. Because I was like, wait a minute, this is amazing. And she's like, I love what you guys are doing here.
Wow.
So it was like a big, big deal for us. And we did it. It's crazy because we did it in 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spell Envision, because I know it's in case they want to Google it.
It's ENVSN.
Okay.
Envision Festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Sam a partner with you on that?
Yes.
But you're the majority of that?
Yeah, I'm the person that do it, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. And you were talking about like being a person of color from Brooklyn and
Yeah.
a little girl, you
Yeah.
know, like, and just full disclosure, Sam is not a person like, of color. He's
Israeli.
Sam
is Israeli, and it's really interesting. I remember, and up to this day, I've always looked, Sam never looks at color. From when I worked in Atrium, they came in, they wanted a job. As long as they're equipped, Sam hires them.
Right.
There was never any color.
Yeah, and I wanted to make that point because it wasn't like, this isn't a case of like, I'm looking out for my people. Like,
No, he's more like, I just want good workers. He never looked at color, and those are the qualities within him that stays. He's humble. You would never even probably know Sam does all the things that he does because he
walking
looks around like a regular, guy.
Right.
And he's not that kind of person. He's an amazing individual, and I have the highest, most respect for him.
Explain a little bit, if you can, articulate like in the fashion industry how hard it is for a person of color and a female.
Oh my God. Being a female, especially within the fashion industry, it's very hard because people look at your exterior before they look at what you're knowledgeable about.
Your resume.
They
whatever,
look at you as a person. And if you don't fit the mold of what they're used to seeing, i.e. it being
The look.
You're skinny, you're light, you're this, you're that, they would X you out right away.
Yeah.
And that's why
Especially in fashion.
Especially in fashion, because you have to have a look, right? And I remember a woman at my job always saying, why do you get so dressed up for work? And I said, because I have to.
I'm in fashion.
I'm in fashion, but I don't have the ability to come to work in sweatpants. That's just not what I can do.
Yeah.
When I come to work in sweatpants and sneakers, I'm called ghetto. If you come to work in sweatpants and sneakers, you're called cool
Yeah,
or
you're
fire.
called at leisure.
At leisure, exactly. So
That's so
This is,
funny.
you know-
I'm called ghetto.
I'm called that's what it was.
But you recognize the game.
I recognized the game a long time ago, and it's how you play the game, right? And I think that sometimes it discourages brown people a lot. And I'm here to say, don't be discouraged, because it's a well-known fact that many things start with us. We start a lot of these trends, and it just gets carried on to something else.
It gets stolen.
And it gets stolen.
Yep.
And I just want people to really understand. I want for young brown girls and young brown boys to understand that they can be whatever the fuck they want to be.
Yeah.
There's no limitation to where you are to be. You just have to do the work and put in the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I interviewed Ferg yesterday.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we talked a long time about what Virgil at LV means.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, it's Obama moment level. Like that
100%.
somebody broke through that wall.
Yeah. 100%. No matter how much, everyone has their opinion about it, right? At the end of the day, that was a win for us.
Yeah.
That's a huge win for us. That's how we look at it, And it is definitely an Obama moment.
Yeah.
But it's all about what we do when we're there.
Yes.
Because
like the notion is that there is these walls, and the walls, of course, are not like 100% defined. It's sort of like a mythological thing.
Exactly.
But when you've made it to that wall, like I also interviewed Samuel Ross from A Cold Wall.
Yeah.
He's made it through that wall. And I asked Sam, I was like, is there really a wall now that you're there?
Yeah.
Or is it bullshit? He's like, no, there's fucking walls.
No, there's walls.
There's mad wall. Like,
Yeah.
it's like a 90-foot wall, and then there's like a 120-foot wall like behind it.
There is a lot of walls, but it's for us who's in those positions to bring people up.
Yeah.
And that's what is so important for me. We need to start supporting each other.
Yeah.
One thing I learned from Sam was also, if someone came in that office and spoke Israeli, listen, you need a job, go see my friend down the street. That's what we need to start doing.
Yeah.
We need to do that more.
Yeah.
100%. Normally, in the brown community, we'll be like, oh, no, we don't know about no job. No. But that's what we need to start doing more of. And that's what Envision was based upon. I didn't want girls to feel like they needed to compete with each other anymore. You need to start collaborating with each other.
Right.
And working together.
These are the facts of life. The walls are very real. Anyone who's been on the Business of Hype podcast will attest to that. And anyone who's been in the industry will tell you the same. And not only are there walls, but there are old guards who want those walls to stay up. The new guard, the people who represent the future, they need to figure out a way around this. And the best idea is to go about it together, not separately. Over the last few years, there's been such an emphasis on competition that the opportunities for co-creating have been missed. Who's doing what? Yo, I can do that better. Why aren't people noticing me doing that? That mindset, unfortunately, has been rampant and proliferated even more since social media really just dominated all of our lives. Although there is still that competition today, I do feel that the level of collaboration is rising. And I don't mean two artists dropping a sneaker collaboration. I mean people like Sharifa encouraging and advocating for others. What I love is that Sharifa has spent her career cementing herself as one of the best in the game. She was given the shot and grew into a true leader in the industry. And now that she has that, like she said, it's what you do with it. And you don't have to be a multifaceted brand owner to give someone else a shot. Just share a contact, tell someone how you got that job, offer a bit of advice. Using whatever platform you have, big or small, to give anyone any knowledge you have might help. That's the collaboration I'm talking about. And come to think of it, that's kind of why I do this damn show. You were probably given a hand at least once in your life. All I'm saying is just pay it forward.
So you got a lot on your plate right now, right?
Yeah.
Can you just describe what is a 9, what you wake up and what happens?
I wake up at 4:50
a.m.
A.m. Yes, every day. And I go to the gym. I have a trainer. So I work out for an hour and a half. I come home, take a bath, and I get on my phone because that's what the new thing for me. I used to get on it as soon as I got up.
Yeah,
but
so
now,
you don't do that?
No.
Okay.
I don't. I try really hard not to even look at my phone until I'm finished working out.
Okay.
Because that distracts you.
Yeah.
A good friend of mine taught me, because I used to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and I'll get on my phone. a friend of mine, Attain, who I work really closely with, and dear friend, he was like, put your phone on the other side of the room. So even if you get
Not
up,
bedside, yeah.
don't put it on the side of your bed and turn off the phone.
Right.
It's okay. Back in the day, you had no phone. So if someone had an emergency, they would come find you.
Yeah. You know what I did recently? I turned off all my notifications, those little pop-down
those have
things.
always been off. I'm never turning that. That will drive me crazy. No, that stays off.
Okay.
I put the phone now on the other side of the room. That way I don't pick up my phone in the middle of the night.
You have kids?
No.
Okay.
Not yet, which is crazy. I don't know what my life would be once I have kids.
You need another day in the week for that.
Oh, yeah. So I get up, I work out.
Then you check the phone.
I check my phone. I eat breakfast. And then I go into work. But then it depends. I will have a breakfast meeting or a breakfast phone call, or it's just phone calls, meetings, calls all day long.
Do you try to organize like Liberty, Cabana, Capsule, and Envision?
I try, but
is like Tuesday Envision Day?
No. Wednesday normally is Envision Day.
Okay.
Wednesday night actually is Envision Day. But there's always Envision problems or Liberty problem, you can't control it. So you just try to manage your time. Thank God I got an assistant, and she's phenomenal.
Okay.
Her name is Lucia. So
shout out Lucia.
Shout out to Lucia, because without Lucia, my life cannot be complete, to be honest. She keeps me more balanced. I'm the one who's like always agreeing to do. I overcommit to things. So I'll tell everyone, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll be there. And she'll be like, absolutely not. This is way too much, and you need to rest, and because I've started trying to have some sort of balance these days.
I was just about to ask, work-life balance.
Yeah,
what's that like?
That's better for me, because I was feeling like my body was dragging. So I just changed a couple of things. It changed how I'm eating. I started to become more vegan, stop eating meat.
Yeah.
And this is something new to me, because I'm Trinidadian and we eat tons of chicken and goat and curry.
How long have you been vegan?
2.5 months now.
Have you felt any difference?
I felt really good. And funny enough, I tried to eat fish the other day, and I think I'm tired. I'm tired again. What's going on?
Wow, even fish made you tired.
It's weird, but maybe it's my psyche. I don't know. I'm trying to test out things.
Yeah.
But recently, I was like, I can't.
Right.
And then I also figured out I don't read enough. I need to start reading. So I carved out a half an hour in my morning to try to read.
Okay.
Before I get on the phone.
Read on the phone? Oh, no. So read like a paper?
I read like a paper or a book
or
something, because I drive in every morning as well.
Okay.
So I don't get that opportunity where people's on trains and stuff. I don't do that.
Yeah.
So I'm reading. And just trying to keep balance. I have a husband, so I also have to make sure he's okay. Check on him sometimes, because as women, we get busy. And, sometimes you live a single life. I'm going to make sure he's going to still be there.
Right.
He's amazing. Shout out to Leighton. He keeps me sane.
Yeah.
And he's an amazing chef, so he cooks every day for me as well.
Nice.
So that's how I keep my life. Saturdays and Sundays are dedicated towards him.
Okay.
I don't make plans unless we speak about it on...
like emergency situations.
Yeah. So if I have to go to a party for my girlfriends, I'll tell them.
Right.
So that's how my life is balanced.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want to bring up an 800-pound gorilla in the room question.
Yeah.
You are heavily involved in the trade show business. And because, as we mentioned earlier, this new surge of brands that are starting out as D2C.com brands, they feel like, and this, I think the argument is still out for whether that's right or wrong, but they feel like they don't need wholesale. They don't need accounts. They could do it all through Instagram and through the internet, right? Which is affecting facts. It's affecting the trade show industry.
100%.
So talk about first, for those who don't know, what's happening with the trade show industry.
So basically, within the trade show space right now, a lot of new designers coming out don't believe that trade shows is the way. They think that they can go direct to consumer. The only problem is that everyone can't go direct to consumer. At the end of the day, it's going to come to a cap, right?
Yep.
And currently you're seeing the cap. There's only probably really 10 successful, really successful brands that are direct to consumer.
Yeah, it's true.
And you still, as a designer, need that outlet to kind of get in front of the consumer.
Right. Just because you can have a Shopify account does
not mean
you're going to
that
get customers.
No, and not at all. And I think that you have to believe in yourself as a brand. You can definitely do direct to consumer, but there needs to be some sort of element as wholesale.
Yeah.
Like you need that because that gives you some sort of structure as well on timing and things that you need to do.
And I also think it makes your brand real. Like
100%.
people need to walk into stores and touch your brand.
Yes, I agree. So in my mind, I do believe everything that goes up comes down. And I know that right now, trade shows are at this like even keel place where it's just right there. And I do believe it's going to go up. I think that stores are going to have a resurgence again. Yeah. I definitely believe it is a trickle effect. So what we said before, a lot of people don't feel comfortable shopping in stores because there's no service.
Yes.
I think that it's important for stores to train their employees.
Yeah, to carry.
And to take that responsibility.
Right.
Small boutique stores, I do believe, are doing well because of the service that they're giving.
Yeah.
But the big department stores need to be concerned. They need to definitely pay attention to what's out there and try to be a leader instead of a follower.
Yeah, and what doesn't help is that when stores do bad, they go out of business and they close. Which hurts the trade show business.
Exactly, exactly.
Because like a big department store might send like 20 people.
20 people.
Yeah.
I remember, listen, when we first started trade shows, I remember Vegas being like a 20,000 people event.
Yeah.
And that was with retail, right? Now, I would say Vegas is 7, and that's a stretch, So that's to tell you how big of a gap, how many stores have been closed, how many people don't feel like it's needed, or they don't have the money to travel, right? So
it's a
I
problem.
definitely believe it's a problem.
It's like there has to be a reset button hit on retail.
100%, 100. And I think, like I said, it's a trickle effect. If the stores if consumers are not happy, the stores aren't going to do good. If stores aren't going to do good, brands aren't doing good. If brands aren't doing good, trade shows aren't doing good.
Yeah.
So it's always a trickle effect. And I think it's about really and truly talking. I always wanted to start like a retail, like group where we all come together and kind of like have a real conversation because I remember back in the day, it was like if you sold one store, you was not selling the other store. Like there was that rule, that golden rule.
Yep.
And I think some designers got greedy and they got scared. And then some retailers got scared and they started following. So now one store looks like the other store. It's like someone said, here goes the so-and-so kit, take it. Yeah. And each store has the same exact kit. So it's not interesting and compelling.
Yeah, and if you just walk down Broadway, you'll feel
Oh my God,
that. Yeah.
I feel it every day. It's stressful.
It's identical shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cookie cutter.
Yeah.
Every time I do something in retail, I want every staff member to go to Japan.
Oh my God, yes.
Right? I feel like it's expensive, but I feel like it's worth
I tell
the
every
education.
designer, if you have not gone to Japan, just forget it. You need that experience. No.
They're the gold standard.
They're gold. They're like diamond and platinum. They treat you. I can buy a pen.
Yeah.
And it made it feel like I bought a Gucci bag. Like, it is like the best
gift
service.
wrapping and
the way they hand it to you, they walk you to the
receipt,
door.
they give you the receipt. Literally, if you buy like a cracker,
Yes.
it's like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And I think everybody, please, everyone, get the experience. Go to Japan and just see how their retail is. Yeah. That's where the tour should be.
If you're in any creative field,
Yes.
whether it's retail, design, whatever, if you're not there, you're not seeing the standard.
Not seeing nothing. Just continue doing whatever you're doing if that's the case. Seriously.
We could not be more serious here. These shifts that we're seeing in retail, there are many factors involved, but a lot of them stems from the customer experience. And whether it be the experience of transitioning from real life to digital, or the experience that we expect in a level of service that we all deserve, there's a reason why many shops and stores are closing, yet others are thriving. There's the overall experience of the interior of the space and what's being sold, and then there's the experience created by the people working there. Every store has an end goal. You step in and you purchase something. That's the bottom line. I get it. But if that's all that you care about and don't understand the incremental steps it takes to get to that goal, you're lost from square one. I'll share a little anecdote here about one of my first trips to Japan. So I took an overnight bullet train, and on these trains, there are snack carts that get pushed up and down the aisles by people throughout your ride. The rule for the staff is, upon entering and leaving every train car, the snack cart person must turn around and bow, as they do in Japan. It's a sign of gratitude and respect. So I'm on this overnight train, and my train car happens to be literally completely empty. I'm the only person on it, and I'm fading in and out of sleep consciousness, so my eyes are basically closed. As the snack cart person walks past me, I flicker my eyes ever so slightly open, and I notice that as she exits the car, she turns around and bows deeply to a nearly empty train with one passenger who, in her mind, is fast asleep. That, my friends, is Japan. And that is what I'm talking about. It's care, it's craft, it's process, it's the way.
You mentioned that a lot of people, especially young girls, especially people of color, they constantly ask you for advice.
Yeah.
What is the number one question that you always hear repeated that we can address here on the air? Like, what is the number one issue that young girls, people of color, or young creatives that are struggling, what are they going through? What's the number one challenge?
How did you get where you got?
Okay, that's the number one question.
I think it's for them.
Well, just listen to this podcast now.
Yeah, you can listen to this. But I also think I always tell people, and this is my motto that I live by, you have to set your tone, right? You want respect from people. You have to earn respect, and you have to show up.
Yeah.
You know, and I always tell young people, as interns that come to my office all the time, if you want a job here, show up on time. Show that you're interested.
Yeah.
Don't wait for someone to give you a job. Ask, how can you help? You know, I think that this generation is so inundated with social media that they believe everything that they see on social media is real, i.e. how they work.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Right.
And I think that I want for young people to understand that I'm not saying work hard. You don't need to go crazy, but what you do need to do is invest in your time and your future.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you're going to be successful.
What do you say to people that say, you're very lucky?
I'm not lucky. I worked my ass the hell off, and I'm still working.
Or you walked into LV and you got the job. You walked into Atrium and you just got the job. You're lucky.
Yeah, but I presented myself in a certain way.
Right.
And I had the confidence when I walked in those places.
You had to do the work to
I had
get
to do
that
the
point.
work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a mental thing. I think a lot of young people, because of social media, they go through all these different changes. They're going through anxiety. They're going through self-doubt.
Yeah.
And I think that we need to start uplifting these people because there's a lot of people struggling. They might look like they're smiling on Instagram, but a lot of young people are struggling today because they're competing. Stop the competition. There's no competition.
It's that number.
But
It's that-
stop.
it's that like
It's
number.
not real. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know, we grew up in an era where there was no likes.
No.
You were
It was
you.
probably better, yeah.
And it was just a better experience. You got to experience things.
Yeah.
And I think that no one's experiencing things in the current moment. They're so busy like wanting to make it look like something that they're not fully enjoying life.
Right.
And I think that, yes, as much as we love social media, and I love it too, sometimes we need to let it go and just enjoy life. Enjoy the day.
Put that phone on the other side
Put
of
it
the
on
room.
the other side of the room and call it a day.
Right,
Sometimes
right.
you need to get rid of it. Seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So how can people find out you got just do the roll call, shout out every
Oh my God.
handle you got.
Simple. I'm really simple. I'm an Instagram girl. Sharifa Says on Instagram.
SAYS?
SAYS.
Okay.
And Envision Fest. That's where you find everything.
Okay.
ENVSN Festival,
All right.
September 14th and 15th. You got to be there.
All right, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for listening to this incredible episode with the ever-inspiring Sharifa Murdock. As always, you can find out more about the show and listen to other episodes at hypebeast.com/radio. You can subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. I personally use Anchor FM. Also, please do me a favor and leave a rating and tell us what you think of the show. And also, tell a friend about the show. And if your friend is everyone on social media, well, feel free to share it there too. It definitely helps out a lot. We do occasionally answer listener questions on the show, so if you got a question, shoot it over to me on Twitter. I'm @JeffStaple. The Business of Hype is created in collaboration with Bright Young Things. You can check out their work at byt.nyc. Our director is Daniel Navetta. Our audio engineer is David Rogers-Berry. Our associate producers are Sydney Pacumpera and Christina Hong. This episode was recorded at Sibling Rivalry Studio and on location in New York City. I'm Jeff Staple, and you've been listening to The Business of Hype on HYPEBEAST Radio.